When do you need to switch your golf ball?
When I hit it in the water.
Yeah, when you're out of bounds. How long is too long? Stick around. So, on the 1611 channel, one of our subscribers sent a comment on there and said, hey, how long is too long to be hitting a golf ball? When it starts getting tore up, starts getting messed up, does it affect spin? Does it affect these things?
Oh, affects your ability to catch it.
Yeah,
or hold
slick.
on to it.
So, let's check it out. So we've got a Bridgestone BXS that is chewed up, beat up.
We'll say seen better days.
Yeah, not really chewed up because I'm not gonna hit it into the screen with nicks and stuff all over it, but it is,
if you were a better player, a professional, you would not be playing this golf ball in play.
Absolutely
It
not.
would have gone away probably a handful of swings ago.
And then we have the exact same golf ball, but a brand new one.
Fresh from the box.
So
we are, I think the thing that's important here is to get accuracy. We're gonna add foil dots.
yes, we'll put dots on it, and then, I mean, really, don't really care what I guess I could put club up there just so you see that we're hitting relatively the same.
Well, I think the
same
thing
swing, but
I think the other thing too that we'll talk about a little bit is when these shots are hit is going to be dispersion pattern. If you're watching this in the order that we shoot this, we just shot the Liberty National. Because of that, and the stellar performance I showed, I will not be swinging a golf club in this because, quite frankly, I'd like to put a consistent swing on it in a reasonable amount of time. If I do that, we're going to be here for a while. So
the struggle is real. So I mean, really main things. Yeah, we'll talk about consistency on that, dispersions, but we'll see carry total, ball speed, spin rate. Let's just see if, I mean, heck, I don't know. Got no chance. No odder.
All right. So you're going to hit, how many shots do we want to compare it to? Let's say 5 or 6?
5 or 6.
5 or 6 decent shots. If it's bad, let's go ahead and delete them.
Yeah.
So like if you hit it, let's get it consistent. So we did go ahead and add club speed up there, and that's more for us than anybody else so that we can...
consistency.
Yeah, just make sure that consistency stays there. So we are going to throw a dispersion pattern. So you are hitting the old golf ball first.
Correct.
Tore up golf ball, however you want to say it. Minutes. I'm in a bad spot.
Ooh.
Ball speed about the same? Oh yeah, or club speed, I mean.
Yeah, club speed's 2 miles an hour different.
So obviously what we're trying to do here is show exactly, number for number, what your spin rate difference is going to be, at least close, because obviously Aaron's hitting a lot of these right to left, so that's going to deaden spin regardless. So as long as he does it with the other one, then it's fine. Again, it's just consistency. So, but the other thing we're trying to do as well is we're gonna, and as Aaron's hitting, we can talk a little bit about what actually happens to a golf ball. Like why would you pull a golf ball out of play, essentially? So right out of the gates, what are you looking for to pull a golf ball out? Like what's the difference? At what point do you?
I mean, obviously if you start getting nicks in it, like blemishes on the cover, I'd be pulling that out.
And I think the best thing to do is think of a golf ball. So if you have a brand new golf ball, you look at the dimple pattern, those things act as lift and spin control, or more spin or less spin, depending on how the golf ball is designed. When you're playing, and when you get a scuff on it, let's say it's a brand new golf ball, and you, right out of the gates, pipe it and hit a tree 100 yards in front of you, and then it proceeds to bounce down a cart path after hitting that tree. More than likely, you're gonna have a mark on it in the form of a scratch, a nick, a blemish, whatever. Well, what it does is it affects, if you can rub your finger over and you feel something, whether it's worn out or now there's, depending on how you hit the tree, maybe a piece of bark lodged in it. Probably not gonna happen. Maybe the raw golf ball it might, but
yeah, that will stick it.
But yeah, so if you feel that, it's going to alter how the air flows over that golf ball. That's what you have to think of. If you think the air is being altered, it's probably time for it to go away because it opens up inconsistencies. So
correct.
How many was that?
That was about 6, maybe 5 or 6.
Happy with them? You had a plus or minus a club head speed of 0.9.
Yeah, we're pretty consistent in there.
So let's go ahead and switch the tag over.
you that.
Okay. Way to work hard, Aaron.
Text her. I'm swinging.
All right, so now we're on to the new golf ball. You got the new one down there?
Yep.
Again, same thing, using a foil dot pointed straight up at the sky. Push that.
Yeah, a little bit.
So when you have a golf ball that has a blemish on it, disregard the fact that obviously the biggest issue is that it could alter its flight. It could add spin to it. It could create the ball to fly more offline. But I think the biggest thing, and this is where I start to get concerned, is hitting into greens.
Yep.
Because if your spin's going up, that might hit and react differently on the ground. Also, if there's a blemish or a worn spot, if it happens to be the spot that it hits on the green when it makes impact, again, depending on your angle of attack, if it's pretty steep, like if you're hitting a 56-degree wedge full, and your height's really, really high, and the come down is pretty straight, it's not gonna matter so much. But say you're hitting a 5-iron into a green, that your height's a little lower, and so that approach angle is gonna be a lot more shallow.
Yep.
Shallower, more shallow. Words. Then it could potentially hit that worn spot. Like say you did hit a cart path on the fly, and it kind of took a grip.
It's practice.
I think after the Liberty National and Pebble Beach course tours, I think that's evident for both of us, buddy. I will say your club head speed's pretty consistent though.
Yeah.
And that's for this purpose, that's all that really matters. But it could potentially, when that ball hits the green with a 5-iron, depending with a shallower AOA or shallower angle of approach.
Yep, land angle.
Or land angle. If it just by some fluke hits that kind of bald spot, maybe a scuff mark from a cart path, whatever, it could potentially almost work like a hydroplane would and shove that ball further off. Again, chance of that happening pretty small. But if you're playing high-level golf, then this is for our our high-level amateur players and professionals, why risk it? Because there's also that fun little thing of, say you get a 20 handicapper that's buying golf balls. He doesn't like to buy golf balls that much. Now all of a sudden, that person is, Pro V1s, Bridgestone RX tours, most premium golf balls are, on an average, about $50-ish a dozen.
45 to 50 bucks a dozen.
Before tax, right.
Yeah.
And so they can get up to 50 to 55 bucks after tax, and that's a lot of money to spend.
Especially if you're donating them.
Yeah, well, we're assuming everyone's hitting fairways. And that's kind of what happened here, is these balls haven't actually impacted anything else. So.
All right, well, here we go.
Look at some numbers.
Numbers up here. So new, average spin, 6,600. Old one, 6,800.
Hey, when you start getting close to the green, though, that stuff matters.
Yes.
And that will take distance off of your, I think the biggest thing too, if you look at new and you look at your spin, your consistency, so plus or minus 283 RPMs. So it's pretty consistent. New golf ball, you kind of expect that.
Yep.
But then you bump down to old and all of a sudden it's up to 419.
My
plus or minus.
Consistency numbers across the board are better with a new golf ball than they are with an old golf ball.
I'm going to point this out just for
Club speeds,
I was about to say
spot
transparency. That's obviously when we're testing this with a human subject, not an Iron Byron.
Yeah.
That the plus or minus on club speed, that's kind of our stationary static number. If those things are fairly consistent to that, then we know our numbers are reasonably right.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you're right. It's drastically higher throughout the old than it is on the new, with the exception of club head speed, which is the one thing that's non-ball that we're actually.
Yeah. So ball, we're seeing higher ball speeds, a little better carry.
Well, and I'm going to point this out too. We'll show the graph here in a second, but if you look at your carry, I don't care so much for total.
Yeah.
It roughly says the same thing, but if you look at your carry on the new, it's 171.1 with a plus or minus of 3 yards. If you look at the old, it's 166
with a plus or minus of
5.3.
Yeah.
And if you look across each shot to shot, I don't know that your longest 170. Okay, so your longest one is low middle of the road for the new.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
You got 72, 89 miles an hour. I got 71 and a half with a mile per hour slower.
Right.
89. Okay, so 89.1 club speed and 89.2 club speed.
Correct.
carried 175 as compared to 171. So
Right.
it's a 4-yard carry difference on basically the exact same swing.
And for those of you that are visual learners, so that is yellow would be new, white would be old, and that's kind of saying exactly what we just said. I know some people out there are more analytical, they look at that graph. Some people are more visual, they'd rather look at this. You can obviously see that. Now the numbers you're seeing at the bottom of the screen are the shot that happens to be, right, which is the one that's kind of blinking in that top left section of it. But that new / yellow grouping is much tighter than that white one. So obviously the simple hypothesis of this whole thing, just a big word.
Yeah, hypothesis. SAT vocabulary.
Yeah, it's a 1,200 word, baby. Is that obviously the more worn out the golf ball is, the less consistent and accurate it can be. The newer it is, the more accuracy you're gonna get. So now here comes the big question.
When do you want to switch it?
Yeah, and this is where we're on camera again. So, you know, and it's easy for me and you to sit here and say this because we both, for the most part, have always had or do have access to
pretty good access to a large amount of new golf balls.
I was gonna say brand deals. I don't know, I think the last 4 months is the most I've ever brought golf balls because we've been testing stuff. And I've been testing things. And so it's a little different than, you know, when I was signed with Callaway for 4 years, I didn't buy a golf ball.
Yeah.
Thanks, Darren.
So, I mean, you're looking at
It's different.
when do you change a golf ball? If you're not worried about it, then I would say
As soon as you see it.
every 2 holes. I mean, depending as soon as something, like you said, as soon as you see something on it.
I would actually probably see closer to 4 or 5. The only reason I say that is because I do think 2's a little excessive. Even talking to PGA Tour professionals,
like 3 holes.
knowing they're typically on average 3-ish, give or take. Some guys, you know, I mean, depends on how willing their caddy is to carry extra weight.
Yeah, and I mean, how bad are their wedges roughing up covers?
They're pretty bad. I think to them it depends on the types of shots they're having to hit on that hole. If they're having to hit a high spinner shot, it's probably gone after that hole, regardless if it's hole 1 or hole 6.
Yeah.
Now, I will say we did a review a month ago now. It came out less than a month ago. It came out earlier this month. Well, no, we're December now. It came out early last month of the Wilson Raw golf ball.
Yeah.
And we did put a disclaimer on that golf ball. It has no paint on it. It will scruff up more.
Yeah.
I do think, now that is a premium line ball. So it's the Wilson staff, just the non-painted version. I do think that's the only golf ball I'm going to say I'm going to pull from this conversation.
Yeah, that one you're going to be changing quite a bit.
Yeah, I would say me and you, there's a chance we're changing. So thank you, Wilson. They gave us both a sleeve to kind of test and play with. We obviously put them in here. I played around with one of them. I didn't make it all 18 holes with one sleeve.
Yeah, I was like about every 2 holes and I was ready to swap it out.
So I pushed it on a little further. I pulled them out every 3, but that's typically what I do with I've been playing the Bridgestone RXS after we did the dispersion review thing of all the Bridgestone models. Yeah, I should just play that golf ball and stop looking.
Yeah, it's a good ball.
And quite frankly, it was just more consistent for me. So, but in doing that, you know, obviously I'll play 9 holes with one of those sometimes. But it depends. If I'm 100 yards out, 80 yards out, and I hit something super spinny with a brand new wedge, that wedge is going to tear it up pretty hard.
So
drive every green. Don't have to worry about all that.
Yeah, just driver and putter. You don't have to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, average golfer, weekend golfer out there, I don't know, 9 holes.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a hard thing. I think what we're trying to get at is
how much do you want to spend?
Right, and that's every single player, every person out there is going to have a different line of tolerability when it comes to your consistently, like where you want your consistency to be and how much you're willing to spend to do that.
Yeah.
And other golf balls, and it's hard for us to sit here and say, you should definitely do it every 9 holes. Well, quite frankly, if you're hitting a DT solo, they don't make DT solos anymore. What's the Titleist? You're hitting a distance ball.
NXT?
Yeah, say you're hitting an NXT, your cover's not going to tear the same as a Pro D1X.
It's a hard golf ball, yeah.
And so you're going to get 18 plus holes out of that.
And
or as long as you don't lose it.
That's what I was going to throw that little disclaimer in there.
Sure.
Like, let's be honest, how many of us are playing 9 or 18 holes with one golf ball? How many of the weekend golfers and average golfers something makes it? I mean, people hit bad shots.
So we just spent a reasonable amount of time talking about this, trying to figure out when we should actually, really about 30 to 45 minutes of time, figuring it out, putting it on Trackman, shooting it. This doesn't count like editing time and all that stuff. But so it comes down to the question, when should you switch a golf ball? Whenever you're ready.
Whenever you're ready to switch a golf ball.
Sorry, this almost feels like clickbait video, but I think it's important to understand what's actually happening.
There's too many factors involved. That's like a personal preference on that. Of when you play a round of golf, how long does one golf ball last you before you're having to reach into your bag to get another one?
Sure.
That's a big deal. What golf ball are you playing? Are you playing a grab bag of dollar golf balls from somewhere?
Like 1611.
Yeah, we have those. I mean, heck, switch it every few holes if you have that.
Big money maker, the dollar grab bag.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Pitch till you win. If you're spending $50 a dozen on a golf ball and you play with that golf ball and you don't lose it, I mean, it's how much money do you want to spend?
Right.
So
And again, it's such a personal thing.
Yeah.
But it's important to understand that the longer you use a golf ball, the less consistent it becomes. And that's true after the very first swing down to maybe the 50th swing. I don't know that anybody hits a golf ball more than 50, not including putts. Putts don't really affect the golf ball all that much. So, yeah.
So there it is. When to switch?
Yes. Or no.
Sure.
Maybe.
Whenever you decide.
If you feel like it.
Hope that helps.
Or doesn't.
And hopefully you're thoroughly informed now.
Or at least entertained.
I have no idea what's going on now.
I am over-caffeinated, a little tired.
Jacked up over here, ready to go show some ponies.
I was about to say, we have a few things going on outside of the normal routine here. You guys have construction. I've got horses traveling today. I'm traveling with them and then coming back and then going back and then coming back, and then we repeat that thing about 3 more times. All right, well, our camera died over there, so now we're on the GoPro, which is always the
Shot.
B-level stuff. So I'm just hoping this is straight and we're somewhat in the frame.
I'll make it quick. Hopefully that helps you out a little bit. Sorry for the confusion. Switch a golf ball
Switch your camera.
whenever you feel like it. Thank you for checking in.
See ya.